Welcome to episode 48 of our ComfyUI Tutorial Series. Today I will show you how to install and use the latest update of the LTX video model. We talked about it before in episode 37, but now we have a faster model with better quality, different nodes, upscaling, and other cool features that let us create videos locally for free in ComfyUI. On their Hugging Face page, you can find more information about the model. They added a few extra versions, like a distilled version that is faster, and today we'll use one of those. We'll also install custom nodes to work better with the models. They've updated the nodes to support the newest versions of the models, including the distilled ones, a few LoRa's, some upscalers, and more. So let's open ComfyUI. As always, go to Manager, scroll down, and check that you have a recent version. Usually it's at most a few days old. If it's not updated, click the Update All button. If that sometimes doesn't work, go to the Update folder and run the Update ComfyUI bat file. Let's get started by uploading a workflow. I modified some of the recommended workflows they suggested, and I'll add them on Discord so you can download them for free. Let's start with a landscape one. I created workflows for landscape, square, and portrait ratios, and you can test to see which works best for you and check the settings I used. All those new nodes and settings might be quite complex and are still new to me. There are some settings I don't fully understand, so I left them on default or recommended values. But if you find better settings, feel free to share them in the comments or on Discord. As you're used to by now, I put everything you need to get started in this Pixaroma node. For the model, I use the FP8 distilled version. You can download it from here and place it in the checkpoints folder. Let me quickly show you. Go to your ComfyUI folder, then into the models folder, find the checkpoints folder, and put the model there. That model will load here. For the clip model, depending on your memory, you can choose a bigger or smaller one. Place that model in the text encoders folder and load it in this node. Then we use an upscaler, which you place in the upscale models folder. If you want to find more versions of the main model, you can click here and check the different versions they offer. I used this one because the others were too big for me. You can also try the non-distilled version like this one, but you'll need a different workflow for that. They provide a few workflow recommendations on their page. Once you have all the models installed, you can move on to the next step, custom nodes. You should already have the first 3 nodes if you followed my episodes, but now we need 2 extra nodes. If your screen is big enough, you can move the canvas to the left to see everything. I'm using a smaller window for recording, so I can't really see all the text. Go to Manager, then Custom Nodes Manager, search for Video Helper and install it, then search for Easy Use and install that. Next, search for RG3 and install it, and finally search for LTX and install that one too. You should see an install button for all of them, like in these examples. Mine are already installed. The last one is KJ Nodes. Once you have all those installed, you should see a restart button. Click it and wait for the app to restart. Now you should have everything you need. If you want more info about LTX, you can check GitHub or Hugging Face. So, are you ready? I split the workflow into 2 parts. In the first part, we generate the video from an image. You can see the label. It's an LTX workflow, FP8 version, image to video. You input an image at this size and get a video of the same size. Then, with an upscaler, you get double the size. The second part is the upscaler. You don't need to understand everything to use it. Let's upload an image. This is for 3:2 ratio images. If you use a different image ratio, it will be cropped. I'll show you later how to change that to get a 16:9 ratio. Then you add a prompt where you describe the subject, what it does, how it moves, the camera, and so on. I added green color to the nodes you can edit, and the rest you can leave on default settings. You can see all the nodes I added, plus 2 nodes here as well. Of course, you can play with the others, but just note down the default settings so you can return to them if something goes wrong. Let's look at this base sampler. You can set the width and height for it. It's recommended to use multiples of 32 or 64 to get the best results, and the best results come at sizes under 1280 by 720 pixels. Any image you upload will be resized to this size, and if the ratio is different, you can enable crop so it doesn't get distorted. Adjusting the CRF value affects the perceived motion and fluidity of the generated videos. A higher CRF can add subtle noise, which helps reduce issues like static or overly smooth frames, making the motion feel more natural. For example, setting a CRF between 20 and 30 is recommended to add slight variations that improve motion perception in the output video. Then we have the number of frames, which decides how long the generated video will be depending on the frame rate. Here's how you calculate it. I like to use 4 seconds, so multiply the frames per second by the number of seconds, then add an extra frame. For example, 24 frames per second times 4 seconds is 96, plus 1 makes 97 frames total. You add that number here in this node. The frame rate is set here in the conditioning node and also here in the video combine node. You can use more seconds, but longer videos start to get more artifacts and also take way longer to generate since there are more frames. We have these extra nodes with settings that worked okay on default, but honestly, it's too much info for my brain to figure out. They need to be in a certain format, so maybe just experiment with the numbers. They might have more details on their GitHub page, but this is already a lot to take in. So in short, open the workflow you want, upload the image, add a prompt, click run, and let's see what happens. The first time will be slower because it has to load the model. This one is almost 16 gigabytes. Then it loads the clip model that helps with prompt understanding. Which clip model loads depends on which one you downloaded, the bigger or smaller one. After that, everything goes to this base sampler, similar to the K sampler. It will generate all the individual frames, 97 in total. Then the decoding part takes the longest. You can see my GPU usage rising since I'm recording too. I have an RTX 4090 video card. And if you look here, the VRAM is almost full. I added this clean VRAM node that clears memory before the next step, but you can delete it if you want to speed things up. It takes about 3 seconds to clear. This is the final result, our cute little bunny animation from a single image at the size we set here. If you try running the workflow again, you'll see it won't work the second time because the seed is fixed, so we can upscale later. Change the seed by using the left and right arrows, or just click and type a random number. Then click run again, and it will generate a new version. And here is the new version. If you toggle the bottom panel with this button, you can see it took 23 seconds to generate this video from an image the second time. So it's really fast. For some models, it takes longer to generate an image. Let's try a different seed since the existing video has a mistake on the bunny's mouth. The result is this one. As you can see, prompt understanding isn't always perfect, but there is some motion. Let's say we're happy with this and want to upscale. I added this fast group mutter node here, and you just click it to enable the upscale. Now the entire group is active. All you have to do is click run. It will only do the upscale. It's not regenerating the first part because the seed is fixed. It takes the preview result and runs it through the tiled sampler, also using this spatial upscaler model you downloaded from here. Depending on your VRAM, you might want to adjust and use lower values like 768 or 512 pixels for tile size and 32 for the other values. Here I added a simple upscale image size node in case the size is different to get a more consistent size. This will make more sense later when we talk about the 16:9 ratio. For now, I set it to double the original video size. There's some grain and saturation added, but you can bypass that node if you don't need it. This is the final upscaled result. We have a new video with this size. You can run the upscaler multiple times. The videos are saved to the output folder. You'll have the original simple video and another with up in the title from the upscaler. If you check properties and details, you can see the size of the file. For your next project, remember to turn off the upscaler and generate a new version with a new prompt, new image, and so on. What if we want multiple frames? Let me show you how to adapt for that. I also created a separate workflow for you. Say for the first frame, I want this red car. I can copy this load image node or just add a new one. Then I add another image for the end frame. So that's the first frame and the end frame. How do we bring both images into the workflow? We use a batch images node. You can have multiple batch images if you have multiple images. In the original workflow, the image was connected to the sampler, both in the first part and in the second part with the upscaler. You can move the node around to see better where it's connected, and the link turns white. From the batch images node, I connect to this conditional image input, and from the same batch images node to the other sampler. Now that they're connected, we set the first image to the first input and the second image to the second input. We've set the images, but we need to do extra settings. First, let's add a prompt. You can use ChatGPT to help generate prompts if you upload the two images and explain what you want, but let's keep it simple for now. In both samplers, we need to change the indices. Right now, it's set to 0, meaning the image is used for the first frame of the video, since coding starts counting from 0, not 1. We need to do the same here. To avoid typing the values twice every time, let's use another node that gives the same value to both samplers. I connect this positive node to the first sampler. Don't worry if it looks a bit fast in the video. You can see in the final workflow, you download exactly how everything is connected. The same positive node is connected to the second sampler as well. Now, whatever value I input goes to both nodes in those fields. So in this case, we only have 2 frames, the first and the last. The first frame will always be 0, and for the second frame, you can put it anywhere you want, in the middle or at the end, by specifying the frame number. We have 97 frames in this workflow because we wanted 4 seconds of video. Remember, counting starts at 0, so the last frame is actually 96. After a comma, we add 96. If I put 50 instead, it would be somewhere in the middle of the video. You can have multiple frames like this. Let me turn off the upscaler and run it to see if we get any errors. Here's the result. The camera is a little shaky, but not bad for the first try. Let me change the seed and try again. There's some camera movement here, so it doesn't always work exactly how you expect, but at this speed, you can try a lot of versions. Let's try another seed. This one doesn't look bad. I'll go with this one, enable the upscaler, and run the workflow. The upscaler uses a lot of VRAM, so remember to adjust the tile size if it uses too much. You can also change the horizontal and vertical tiles to 2 instead of 1 here. This is the result. Not bad for the time it took to generate. Hopefully, they improve prompt understanding even more. Let's open another workflow. This one is for 16:9 landscape ratio. The first video is generated at this size, and the final video is upscaled to full HD. If we look at the base sampler, you can see the size I put here. This resolution is close to a 16:9 ratio, but if you want a more exact one, use 1024 by 576 pixels. I tried that, but the workflow was much slower for me, so I decided to go with a smaller size that's faster. For this one, I have a panda taking a bath and a long prompt. Let me show you how you can get long prompts using ChatGPT. I included an example formula here that you can improve. I mostly use a custom ChatGPT trained for this, but this formula will do for now. I pasted the formula and it seemed to understand what I needed, giving me a random prompt. You can ask for prompts however you want or upload an image. I uploaded the panda image and pressed enter without any prompt, but you can add your own to guide it. It gave me this long prompt. If it's too long, you can ask for half the length or less detail. Let's say I want the camera on a tripod and the panda playing with balls. I got a new prompt and put it to the test. I pasted it here for a 4-second video with those sizes and clicked run. By the way, this was the original prompt in the workflow and it gave me this result. For the new prompt, I got this one. Well, the panda didn't play with the balls and the barrel is moving. Let's change the seed to see what changes. Some seeds work better than others. Now it has a bit more movement, but still not very complex. Let's make that movement more obvious by changing the prompt. I got a new prompt, and the result is this. I expected to pick an existing ball from there, not to make it appear a new one, but it probably didn't recognize it. The ball is kind of floating like a balloon, but maybe with a few tries, you can get something better. I enabled the upscaler and set the size to full HD. By default, you'll get a similar size, but I want it to be exact. I also enabled crop to make sure the video doesn't get distorted. It will only crop a few pixels, so it shouldn't affect the result much. Then I ran it to get a bigger version. Let me show you how I did the portrait workflow. First, I upload a portrait image, and as you can see, the width and height are reversed. I changed the size here to match that, but remember, it needs to be a multiple of 32. I made up a quick, short prompt and ran it. This time, it's not what I expected. You can try a different seed or a different prompt to see if you get better results. I tried again with ChatGPT for another prompt to see if it can do better, and the result was much improved. Since this workflow was originally arranged for landscape, as the upscale button was covered, but the workflow I'll give you is arranged for portrait, so you won't have that problem. With the upscaler enabled, you can get a bigger version that often fixes small issues. I switched the size here since it's portrait, and now we can run the workflow. Here's also a square ratio workflow if you want to make videos for Instagram, but portrait ratio is probably better for visibility there. I use 704 pixels for this one, but you can try different sizes as long as they're multiples of 32. The result looked something like this. LTX has improved a lot since the last model. Maybe in a few months it could compete with paid models. Here's a version that lets you extend a video. The first part of the workflow is the same as before. What's different is the second group, which lets you extend the video. I didn't include an upscaler for this one because it was really slow or got stuck, so maybe you'll have better luck. What it does is take the previous generation and use this extended sampler to create new frames. For frame overlap, you can use the number of frames per second. The number of new frames is set to 120, which adds about 5 more seconds to the original 4-second video for a total of 9 seconds. You can set it to 121 to get a 10-second video if you're willing to wait. The result looks something like this. A cute extended version of the bunny video. For those with low VRAM, try this GUF version workflow. So what's different here? You need a new model and a new node that can load that type of model. The node is this GUF node you install from Manager, but you should already have it from episode 10. Download this smaller model and place it in the diffusion models folder. There are more versions available. If you have more memory, you can try a bigger one. The bigger the queue number, the bigger the size, and better the quality. For the clip model, I tried the small one. You also need a VAE model that you download separately since it's not included here. No checkpoint. This model loads in this node. Don't forget the upscaler model. That's it. Restart, and you should be good to go. I uploaded a portrait of a woman here with these settings. If you still can't run it, try smaller sizes. This is the resulting video. Quality is a bit lower compared to FP8, but the file size is much smaller. I enabled the upscaler, but again, depending on your video card, if it can't run, try lowering some values. Use 512 for tile size and maybe set to horizontal and vertical tiles instead of 1 to see if that helps. I don't have a lower end card to test, so let me know in the comments what card you're using and with what settings to help others. Here's the result. There's a small glitch on the eye and the original image wasn't the best either. Let's try running the upscaler again with a different seed to see if it fixes that. Okay, this one seems to have better eyes, so I'll go with this version. Let me show you how I do a project from start to finish. First, I open a text-to-image workflow, like the Fluxmania workflow we used in episode 46. I want to make a short, so I'm going with a 9:16 ratio. For the prompt, I asked ChatGPT for a prompt about an alien woman. You can always give ChatGPT more suggestions to improve the prompt. Once I had a prompt, it was time to test. The first one was okay, but I wanted something better. I tried a different seed and got a better result, but I didn't like the scars on the face. So I asked ChatGPT for a green alien with no extra stuff on the face, and it gave me a new prompt. Time to test again. This one I liked and could work with. I copied the image and opened the Portrait LTX workflow. I selected the load node and pasted the image. Then, in a different ChatGPT chat, the one I use for video prompts, I asked for a prompt for this alien, and I got a long prompt. Time to test. Again, there was some kind of glitch. I wasn't sure if it was the seed, the prompt, or something else, so I tried a different seed. The result was a little better, but I didn't like the movement. I asked ChatGPT again for changes to see if it could improve, specifying what I wanted the alien to do. Still, I didn't like the result. It could be better. I asked ChatGPT to give me a shorter prompt, thinking maybe the original was too long and got lost. The results improved. I was almost there, but something was missing. I wanted to make things more obvious and add a smile. I got a new prompt, and finally, the result I was after, much better, less boring, with more emotion. What do you think? That's all for today. If you found something useful, please leave a like and a comment to help my channel. Let me know which model worked on your video card and what settings you prefer. Thanks to everyone who supported me through membership like VIP and Legends. Don't forget to check the workflows on Discord, and you can post your questions there too. Wishing you a great day. Bye-bye.